Casey, what's up, man? I feel like we're doing a little cross collab, CDC times MaxBet. What's up?
100%. Thanks to Hillary making us better with the Connect. No, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. I think your studio is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. We have the benefit of sitting still when we film, unlike you're always chasing people down in the wild. I feel like it's like Waldo. Where's Casey going to pop up next? At a trade show, at an office, and, who knows. But
format's totally different. Yeah. This is way more relaxed. It's way more, I'm sure your guests kind of feel that. When I approach mine, they're like, just getting done talking to customers. Then they're like, okay, I got a 2-minute thing to summarize for Casey.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's
speedball. Yeah.
Speedball. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been fun for us. And definitely more relaxed, I would say. Mm-hmm. You've made it higher class, carpets and plants and things, but generally speaking, it's
this is a high class place.
It's a good time. Yeah, that's all we know now. But yeah, so I guess like just looking at you like in the CDC, how'd that even come about? It felt like it was you were doing nothing, obviously is how it goes, and then all of a sudden it's like Casey's everywhere. Like you're like the face of gaming for, I don't know, you would talk about new products or whatever. Like what was the backstory there?
It's kind of like, it's why weren't we already doing this? And I was doing a personal podcast with a buddy. And so the personal podcast, one of our clips go viral. But the problem with that podcast is me and my buddy were coming up with content. And I'm like, well, how do I vertically integrate this with content I already do, which is the gaming industry? So I go to G2E with a kind of a thought process in mind of, who could I partner with? How could I create content? So CDC's booth there, I see Jeffrey Compton. And, Jeffrey's been in the industry 20 plus years, and Corey's kind of his replacement, Corey Roberts. Sure. So Jeffrey gives me you don't do video. We don't do none of that. But you could talk to Corey. So Corey was interested, and I sent him a little me at home. I took one of their news stories and I wrote a script. And he was like, I like this. We should do this. So I said, how about you guys invest half, I'll invest half, and let's see what we do. So we emailed it out. We did an episode once a week. We kind of agreed on the show.
Yep.
And it turned into the proof of concept worked. And now we hired Hillary to help us, consult all the scaling she's done with BC Ventures. And so there was a need for B2B video coverage.
Yeah.
And it was just the start. The show was a proof of concept. And luckily I had good partners that were willing to take that content and help me and taking the articles that Buck Wargo and Reach Behe do and re-script them for me in a video format.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it all kind of came about.
Yeah.
Interesting. So the point of the show seems like it's like a gaming digest. It's almost like this week in the news of gaming, like you're taking, seems like earnings call notes or new product updates. I mean, am I understand that right? Or
we're still growing out the product,
yep.
But in my mind, the product needs to be a clear video coverage of what we do well on print today. So what does CDC Gaming Reports do well on print today? Well, I didn't realize Frank's Floor Talk.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest articles always read on CDC. Yeah. So one of my last videos, for the first time, I took Frank's article and I repurposed it into a video, and that's actually performed really well for us. So now I'm like, okay, I need to dive into David McKee's Wall Street numbers a little more because everyone wants to see what Light and Wonder's projections, win projections are. So I'm kind of learning. It's evolving, and I think CDC's growing as well. Corey has aspirations to cover iComplete, which is the new iGaming sector, and how can we bring that newsletter to life, right?
Interesting.
So it's been a great partnership. And how do we bring this to video? How do we grow the network?
Sure.
So I think that's what we're on, our visions together, and how can I help them? And by moving to Vegas was another supporting factor of interviewing some of these executives in person, coming to be on podcasts like this. And you guys are doing the same thing. We're bringing more video and awareness to our industry, which I think needed to be done.
Did you ever think that you were going to be a TV host?
Never.
No.
I've always liked building businesses and creating ideas, and even now that we've created this proof and it works, I'm looking to figure out if we can hire another host or hire someone younger that's trying to grow their LinkedIn social media presence, because it's really grown mine just by helping them out, and I know it would grow somebody else's that would step in as a host and get in more to the business development of the thing. So get more advertisers on board, and that's the stuff I like doing, selling the product, getting out to the advertisers and telling them why they need to be on board, and letting someone else maybe host. If anything, I would do something more like this. I think the podcast thing's so fun because you have more time to come up with ideas that you think the industry needs or really talk about a certain subject matter. Whereas mine, it's reporting the news. Let's talk about what's happening now and the key points you need to get out, and let's make it quick. And our audience needs quick. And so it's a different concept, which I like your guys' concept because it's more brainstorm. It's more creativity in my mind.
There's certainly a different approach to it. I think for us, it's like let's break open a topic a little bit. Let's chop it up with Andrew is more one of our recent releases and you're building, and so you're not going to get any. I mean, you do reels and clips and stuff, but you're not going to get the lesson of that in 30 seconds or less, it takes a minute, right? So you
100%.
marinate a little bit. And I think for us, it was trying to talk about real challenges in a real way, right? Because I think a lot of times, and you see, you're in the business, you go, last night you're out with folks, you're like, we're having great conversations. All we looked at 5 years ago was like, well, what if we just recorded these? This would be great. Like, people want to hear this, not talking points, not put the bow tie on and speak at the lectern, but like, let's just talk like real people. And so far, so good.
And you get good long form content out of that. And you have someone good like Hillary, where she dives into the long form and creates this short form content where everyone on LinkedIn's like, I just got the nuts and bolts of that conversation. And it was awesome, all through clips.
What's great about podcasts is that you get the people who love long form content, and then you also get a whole different audience of the short form. Because I listen to like 3 different podcasts, but I consume so many podcasts on like LinkedIn or Instagram, just those short clips of it. Mm-hmm. So you're really getting 2 audiences in one with one form of content, which you guys are also doing with CDC with your interviews and then chopping them into short form.
Right.
It's like,
right.
It's the way to go.
Yeah.
If you're not doing that, you're going to be dead in the water.
Random follow-up question for the co-host. Which 3 podcasts are you listening to? Like, I feel like let's make a little podcast shout out here.
Okay, I listen to Smartless.
Yep, same. Me too. That's a good one.
I listen to Color Daddy.
Okay.
Obviously.
Go girls, girl
Go
power.
girls.
Yeah.
What's my other one?
MaxBet.
Those are my top 2. MaxBet, yeah.
I was like, what are we doing? Like, couldn't have teed that up for you easier. What happened, man? Oh, it's so good.
Oh, I listen to Diary of CEO. That's really good.
Steven.
Yeah, that is such
Love
a good
that
one.
guy. I've watched all those.
Yeah. I learned so much from those.
Me too.
Yeah, I should check them out. Yeah, exactly.
What podcast do you listen to?
That's one of my main ones, that guy Steven. But a lot of them are just more covering tech, what's new. I know Call Your Daddy's more of kind of like pop culture, more of what's going on.
Yeah.
I think more of mine is self-help, to be honest.
Nice. Okay, so you're
Yeah.
you're elevating yourself. I'm over here consuming pop culture. It's fine.
Goes.
What do you listen to?
Clips mostly. Like if I listen to full form shows, it's only because it's a guest that was on a show, and I'm like, oh, I wanted to hear, Casey joined. I'm gonna hear that episode. I'm not gonna hear like the whole like, I laugh because like I've always obviously Rogan pops in based on the guest. I'm not like a weekly listener. I've listened to some Call Her Daddy, right? Listen to some of those. So it's really just who's talking. I might want to hear what they have to say. Let's go check it out, right? So I probably have like Smartless is one I listen to most of them. Obviously, I listen to all of our shows, and then it's like probably 60 different podcasts, 1 episode each, right? Just based on who's on that week or who advertised to me that they joined the show. So
you're not like a loyalist to any particular.
Nope, just Bateman and the crew. Yeah, this one and Smartless would probably be the 2 that I'd say I'm dialed in on. But
yeah,
it is interesting to see that most CEOs' new strategy is you need to get out there. If you're representing a company, you need to get this publicity, and you start to see Zuckerberg getting on more of these podcasts and so it's interesting, the strategy now. Well,
the brand building's critical, right? So I think that's what's jumping out to me, right, as we look at the landscape of hiring or recruiting or any of this, like LinkedIn. It's wild to see how many people are like, I just got cut and I don't really know anybody because I did a really good job at my 10-year thing in a room of 4 other people and I was the one out, and it's like, well, I didn't take the time to build all these. No one knows who I am. Like, I may be a really talented programmer, whatever you do, accounting, who knows? And it's like, all right, well, no one knows you. You haven't shared any insights. You haven't made any, like, there's no third party going, I need an accountant. What about that girl that's always posting these fun facts about accounting? Like, and so I think more and more building that personal brand not only helps you in your career, but then it makes people want to work where you work, right? If you 100%. Need to build a team, you call up and you go, oh, you're the guy that's posting all those videos online. I'll talk to you. Like, gets you opens doors. Like, just building that personal brand. I think that's the next wave for companies, is to have a group of folks that are building their personal brand that happens to align to your company brand, is my thought. Anyway,
right. And what's great is you're seeing these platforms, you get so much talk today about the media's bias. And so you get political figures that want to avoid the bias and avoid the questions that are hard. So they go to a podcast.
Yeah.
They say, this guy's not biased. He's going to ask me and he's going to give me free range to tell about everything. Yeah. And you're seeing that some of these guys are now going to the White House and they're getting passes to interview him. It's crazy.
That is a new world.
New form of media is podcasting, for sure.
It is, for sure.
Yeah, because we're not, again, you're not under the editing pressure to say, hey, we have, we got to make the news and it's only 22 minutes to fit in a bunch of commercials, so we can only take 8 seconds of what you said. And it's like, no, just sit and chat and
right.
get all the context around the statements and whatnot. So
yeah, I like what you said about, like, you need to work on your personal brand
I think it's everything. Well, listen, like, we're not sitting here if you don't start those videos. Like, and I know we'll talk in a minute about all the work you're doing in Oklahoma, and it's like I laugh. I'm like, you're a real business guy, right? So, but people just see like, oh, you're the weekly news guy, or whatever you want to, CDC guy, right?
Like, do you work for CDC? Are you just a host? How'd you get that? That's everybody.
It's like, who's this guy? And again, I don't know how old you are, but it's like, it's like, who's this kid that just came out of nowhere, right? And, and it's like, all right, well, cool. Like, he's the content guy. And it's like, well, no, he's actually founded businesses and he's doing a lot, right? So it's like, but yeah, so like that's part of the branding. And it's like, so for better, usually for better, but for better or worse, like now people go, I know who Casey is. I at least have a familiarity. You've broken the first wall, right? Mm-hmm. And you go, all right. Now, maybe you get into a meeting or an interview, they go, I actually don't like this guy.
Right,
but at least they take the meeting. Most people can't even get in the door, right? And so that's what that brand
before
online.
Then, I wouldn't have.
For sure.
You're right.
And so that's where I think people that are missing out, and it seems like, you know better than I do, but like it seems like you don't even have to have that much to say. Like you just say, look, hey, today, like a lot of the ones I laugh about, just talking about their day. Hey, today we were evaluating some M&A thing, and man, I never thought about this sticking point. And they just kind of go, yeah, we almost got hung up over who's paying for sodas in the vending machine. It's like, oh, interesting. Like, so make sure you double check your deal. And it's just like that. And you're like, oh, okay, that was cool. I like it. Keep moving. But now that person comes back to me, and now I'm following her M&A stuff, right, or whatever. So it's interesting. Like the idea of putting it out there and starting to say stuff is fun.
Do you feel like this exposure has helped you in your consulting business?
Not really. I was so ingrained through Dynamic and being with the tribes that I service today. I've worked with them 8 years now. Okay. If anything, they're like, Casey's leaving us. Oh. Casey's going to Vegas.
What's going on?
What's going on? Casey's focusing there, So if anything, I got to still spend time with the baby that got me there, and I still focus on them, and I do more Zoom meetings with them now. But if anything, they're happy for me. Yeah. They're saying, "Oh, well, everyone knows about Casey now. We knew about Casey 8 years ago,
Before then, yeah.
And it's been great. The tribes have listened to me. I've stayed on board, and GCG's great business. I mean, they offer the tribes great products. It's been good. And I think the latest talk is just, my clients, particularly in Oklahoma, and I brought this up to Ernie Stevens at IGA last year, and I said, I'm worried about those tribes surviving through iGaming and sports betting. Yeah. I immediately tell them, hey, as soon as sports betting gets legalized, 10% hit to the floor. Like a couple of those people that spent money here, they're gone. iGaming, the next gets legalized, another 10% to the floor. And you're talking about maybe 10% growing year over year because the product's just getting better.
Yeah, where are you getting those numbers from?
New Jersey. Yeah. So you really look at New Jersey market, although iGaming's been legal there since 2013, there hasn't been much investment from the manufacturer side. Now you're seeing true aristocrats investing heavy in their partner, Scientific Games and their partner. And so they just broke the $214 million a month mark in iGaming for New Jersey. Yep. And the biggest stat for me was they legalized sports betting in 2020, right? But it was all in-person sports betting. In 2022, they legalized online betting. Now 90% of people make all their bets online. Sure. So all that brick and mortar traffic of just having to go in the casino, lost.
I see. So you're saying you lose that, I'm going to throw 100 in a slot because I was here anyway for sports, and that's gone. Yeah,
that's gone.
I hadn't seen the numbers. I think largely, and I'm not an expert here, it seemed like most people are like, oh, it's actually pretty good. Like it hasn't really cannibalized the floor to introduce the online, right?
And see, I argue it because if you look at ship share for even Light and Wonder, Aristocrat, it's gone down, and it's especially gone down in New Jersey and places. There's only 7 states legalized with iGaming right now, but it's gone. The ship share's gone down because if I'm a brick and mortar investor and I'm looking at this transition, looking at the numbers, because even the numbers are showing that the $214 million that we hit in New Jersey with just the small investment from the manufacturers putting Huff and Puff online. Yep. You're seeing the growth outpace what brick and mortar was. So you're like, if that growth continues and legalization continues, and I think that's why you got the pushback right now from Vegas. Yep. Vegas is a big one because they're thinking about their employees. They're thinking about how that affects that. And to me, it's just, guys, our industry's been behind on several things. We should already had a B2B media coverage video. And for me, it's like, who's on it is Interblock. I looked at Interblock and they were almost like, it's like they hit the red box stage where they're trying to create games on the blackjack to just terminals, right? Yep. Well, now I heard John Conley last year talk about he's heavily investing into live dealer games. And for me, I'm like, I see all around the world guys get on Bovada or these websites and they get buddies at home and they'd rather just have a few beers and all put in $50 on the roulette table and play on the counter. And so in my mind, when that happens and they trust BetMGM to host a live dealer, everyone's going to be at home playing the tables. And what's
Yeah.
that going to do to the dealers? And what's
You're
that
seeing
gonna,
that with like the Evolution product. I mean, there's some live dealers now. I think, yeah, I know John, his strategy seems to be how do we bring the live dealer content to the floor, right? So that connectivity, which I think ETG stadiums are set to do. One thing you said, so when you talk ship share, do you mean like they're just making dollar for dollar less in land-based? Because I think ship share is just a percentage of what goes, right? But like when you talk about like you're saying, hey, their gaming ops is just lower, is what you're thinking?
is buying less.
Yeah,
Like
they're
CapEx
just- oh, I
dollars
see.
are
Yeah,
going
yeah.
elsewhere.
So the casinos are buying less on the whole.
on the
Yeah,
brick and
got it.
mortar, yeah.
What advice are you giving to those casinos if you're saying that they're going to lose revenue on the floor? How do they stay relevant?
For me, it's amenities. One of the tribes is particularly on I-40, and they don't have. I told them a travel stop, like work with the Buc-ee's, like let's get a Buc-ee's out here. Let's at least get some kind of amenity like a big Buc-ee's where they know they got to stop for gas. They may take 15, 20 minutes to gamble, but I think it's capitalizing on your region and creating amenities around that region that really get people in the door. Any brick and mortar casino should be taking a lot of their CapEx and saying, how do we grow omni-channel? How do we even grow making more in-house experiences like a restaurant, something else that's going to keep us relevant? We had that 2018 Gambit or skill-based games, and it was like, how do we market to the younger crowd? And we all realized out of that you don't market to the younger crowd, right? You just kind of evolve. The gambler matures into the gambler.
Sure.
Well, if that's the case, all these gamblers that are now getting ready to mature have all been playing Clash of Clans, Temple Runner, and I know Venmo, I know Cash App, I know Apple Pay. So it's just a matter of time for those services, the regulation to hit, somebody sign the dotted line, and then you offer that product. I think overnight it's a wave to all brick and mortars, and revenue just changes completely. And to me, I tell the tribes, I say tribes I'm worried about the most because in Oklahoma, perfect example. Technology advanced and Class 3 gaming came about. And Oklahoma said, this is great technology, but we're not going to be like California. We're not going to be like Florida. We're not going to flood Class 3 games all in our casinos. We're going to make VGT successful. And we're going to keep Class 2 successful. And 40% of our floors are going to be Class 2. Because when the state comes to negotiate with us, we're going to have leverage. And we're going to say, you know what? We'll remove all Class 3 games and just do Class 2 because they're successful. And the state will then say, oh, and sure enough, Oklahoma has the best compact out there.
I was going to say, I'm not a legal scholar by any means, but it felt like that was a masterclass in compact negotiation because what we felt on the vendor side was the tribes actually started doing it. They said, hey, you know what? And a lot of times you don't have to physically change the machines. We're going to move that onto Class 2. So you do a software update, you plug it into Class 2 versus Class 3. And I was like, oh, now instead of 40%, it's 50%. So you go, you sure you want to keep going, Mr. Governor? Because we can keep going. We do this all day, right? And so,
Exactly.
Wait, explain this to me.
all right. So in again, this is loose. I'm not detail, but like high level, the state does not. They're not party to the taxes on Class 2 games. There's no tax on Class 2.
No tax.
So the tribes
Class
have
2, there's
Class
no-
2. So bingo-based gaming. It's the tribes have the sovereign right to offer that. That's part of the IRGC, right? The deal that they made with the federal government. So it's
And
part
they
of their
don't with class, and they do with class 3?
Class
Class
3
3 is now state regulated, right? So you can
Okay.
offer it, but you make a deal with your state and you say, okay, we're going to, and it's different in every state, but like California, for example, has tiers. So as you add more Class 3 games, your taxes go, their tiers different. So what you pay. So that's where a lot of times you're be looking at a balancing act, saying, all right, in California, and smaller tribes will say, all right, first tier is maybe up to 1,000, so I'm going to have up to 1,000 Class 3, and then I'll supplement the other couple hundred in Class 2, so I don't have to pay the tax, right? Especially as Class 2 gaming is very similar now to Class 3 in terms of player feel. So that's really the thing, right? So the governor of Oklahoma is basically going in and going, we want more money. We're going to tax you more because look at all the money you're making, tribes, and we're paying us too. And they're like, we don't have to pay you anything. So just remember that, right? I feel like that was the flex that they were like, yeah, so just we're doing this. We'll support the state, but you're going to treat us with respect and do it the right way is what it felt like.
So we're in the same time frame again. History's repeating itself where we have two new products, sports betting and iGaming. And the federal government's saying, states, sign a compact, figure it out, offer it to your people. So now it's renegotiation, right? And during that time, states were smart. In other states, there were tribes that weren't unified. So the state politician could say, I'm signing a deal with Viejas, and if we sign the deal with Viejas, well, then Pachanga and all you others need to follow suit.
Yeah.
Well, Oklahoma said, we're going to unify. We have Oiga. We have the 5 civilized tribes, and you negotiate with them, and we negotiate together with the state. So long and behold, they got the best compact. That's why it's taking harder and longer for STIT to renegotiate these new privileges in our compact. As long as we it's a give and take, right? So that's where the stalemate happens.
What's a compact?
It's
Is
just
that the
a
deal?
legal agreement between
got
the
it.
state and tribes that they're going to what their tax rate is on those class 3 equipment that's now being offered to the state.
Yeah, it's just all the terms of how you
All the
coexist, right? So
Yeah.
because a lot of times what you'll see is like it's more than just gaming, because you also have, I mean, gaming's the big part of it, but then you also say, well, and in some cases you go, well, the land that leads into the casino. So you say maybe there's tribal land here, but in order to access that, you need to put a freeway off ramp, right? And so you say, well, the state might not want to pay for that. So tribe will say, well, if you give us this, we'll also pay for the highway reconstruction. Like there's all those little details, but it's basically, I would say, just at a high level, the agreement that the tribe makes with the state to do the whole gaming operation, right? So games themselves, but then also all the ancillary kind of supporting infrastructure and everything else, all negotiated there.
Got it.
But-
So what's Oklahoma going to do for iGaming?
So that's why one of my biggest suggestions is, class 2. I think iGaming's kind of on the hold. There's a lot of lobbying money going against it. Obviously, there's a lot of employees that run the casinos, a lot of attendants, and they're all at risk. So I think it's a class 2 product. How can we get an advanced? We have the technology now. Let's get a bingo server that can put out a Temple Runner or a Clash of Clans that gambles. I don't know how it happens or how it works, but we need to put the money and invest into that. Because if you make that successful and you can offer on your servers that bingo product to the state on iGaming, well, then you have something to battle against the state with. You have a product now.
Yeah, I think you're right about the class 2 element will help. I don't know that you'll do a skill based like front end like Temple Runner, right? So I think you'll see.
Sure, that's a dream. pipe
Yeah,
dream.
well, I don't think you'll never see it. I just
Yeah.
think your first entry point is going to be, hey, you mentioned VGT earlier. I'll pick on them for a second. Like I said, the red box games, most popular games, and even Landon, I thought was going to get Lucky Ducky tattooed on him at one point, right? And so you just go, all right, we're here. And so, you play that game. You go, look, we're doing it here. The server, right, is on premise or in the tribal land. What's the difference if it's on a phone versus a slot machine, right? And you can argue there's physical differences, but that's the argument, right? Because you say, and then more and more the court of opinion has been the wager takes place at the server, right? Because this is the thing with class 2. So you push the button here, but the way the system's set up is there's a centralized server that'll determine whether you win or lose. Just like bingo in a hall, right? The lady at the front's pulling the ball. She determines, just because you dob your card here doesn't mean she's the one that decided, right? And so that's the argument, right? Because the thing about iGaming is, well, it's got to be geofence. You can only do it in certain areas. And you go, well, if it's the bingo outcomes derived at, let's say, one of the tribal properties, well, that's where the wagers take place. Who cares if you're in downtown Oklahoma City watching a Thunder game, betting at your favorite Chickasaw casino? Like, the wager's there. So that's I think probably the best argument. I'm certainly no expert here, but I think it seems like where it's going. And then you get the leverage, and they go, well, we don't like that. We're going to do it right. And then you make a big deal, right? So, but yeah, class 2 is like, it's big. I mean,
It's big for them. Bingo, that's what started the tribes in bingo halls. Bingo halls were legal. Bingo is class 2. Then it turned into figuring out bingo patterns in a server. So those servers, class 2 servers, just bingo balls picking random numbers that end up being a combination on the machine.
yeah. So that's why it's fun if you play those games. You don't have to show it. Like it used to be the bingo card, like the digital bingo card was on the screen. Now you can show it or you can hide it. It's different by tribal reg, but you have it and you'll see, oh, I got a bingo. I'm going to win something. Like, you don't know if you're going to win 40 cents or $400, but you're going to win. And so it's fun to watch. Like you can see, and it's tied to that bingo outcome, right? And so,
Mike, have you heard the argument of hold a little bit? The reason why VGT is successful is because they hold 2.5% and they hold less, right? So that argument's real, and you have more time on device, and players like to play those games with less hold. Well, what's interesting right now is all of the games that are ported over to online from Scientific Aristocrat, all those games are holding 2 to 3%. So if I'm a player that likes slot machines, why am I going to go to the 12% hold game at the casino brick and mortar when 3% is competing directly against them? And I could feel that as a player, maybe not know the numbers in my head, but I know those players are going to feel that. They really start to feel that. So it's counterintuitive. They're competing against each other.
Yeah.
And they need to figure it out.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I haven't heard that the differences were that heavy, but yeah. So, like, if you said land-based, let's say New Jersey, pick on BetMGM, their land-based is holding 10%, their online is holding 3%, then I agree. Why would I play online? Or why would I play on land when I could just win, 7 points more? But yeah, no, that's right. I mean, that's, I think, just jumping around a little bit. I do think that's why those VGT games are good.
Yep.
Plus, I think in those games, you have a real belief that you will win a huge multiple against your bet. You bet $2, $4, and you're winning 400. You win 100 times your bet on these red screens. Whereas some games you play, and you win a lot, but you don't win much, right? So you win frequently, but you don't win a lot. So I think that's the main difference. Because you play those games, and you know it's coming. Like, it's a laugh. You sit there, you're, like, more confident, like, just going, I know there's a big pay in here. Will I get it? That's all you want. It's not will it pay. Yes, it'll pay. And will it pay me is really the thing. And that's
On what kind of game?
these are the Class 2 games he's talking about in Oklahoma, right? The VGT games, most notably. That and that bell.
Yeah.
I don't know who patented the bell, but so if you go to Oklahoma, any of these big casinos, you're just going to hear throughout the whole play the echoes of this bell. That's just like a old school metal school bell is what it sounds like, just ringing, and it chimes like 3 times when somebody's in the bonus, and it's constantly going off. I mean, like, I don't know if it's half the floor, but it's a massive product in Oklahoma, right? And so they're just whipping around, and so you walk around, you're going, the bells are going off, you're seeing everybody high fiving, going nuts, and you're like, it's just a matter of time, right? Like, is what you notice. And so it's that's pretty wild. That believability is high.
What's VGT mean?
I don't know. It's Aristocrats Class 2 company.
No, they bought it. Aristocrat bought it in.
Oh, it's a company.
It's a company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So
Yeah,
I
it's a
didn't know what
company
that
that
was. Okay.
produces
Slot route operator.
Yeah, Class 2 gaming.
Okay.
That,
That's Aristocrat's version
it is now. So they were acquired. Aristocrat acquired them.
of it's a class 2.
Class 2. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So they were
Paid $1 billion for that business.
they
1.3.
probably got a deal. 'Cause
Cash
that
flow is
was-
about $250 million a year.
So they're doing all right. But yeah, so that was that's like, you call it the 800-pound gorilla in Oklahoma. Like, even when I was in previous companies, we would try to go, well, how do we compete? And the other customers were like, you're never going to be number one. Don't even try to be number one. Like, you can try, but you're not going to get there. So it's just a hard number 2. Like,
It's crazy because you see all the bells and whistles now and how much these slot machines they put into it, technical advances and all that. The money bags machines that he's talking about, simple, cost like $5,000 to make the machine.
Yeah.
Like, just simple box, simple everything.
Yeah, you sit there, you go polar, high roller. It's great.
Yeah.
You're playing this thing. It's like, this thing's
It just
straight out of the
created
90s.
money for the
Yeah.
manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun market to play in. And
But to credit to Oklahoma and being so smart and saying we need to make this successful so we can negotiate
Yeah.
a better deal.
yeah, I mean, just like I said, it's a masterclass in how to negotiate, because they set themselves up with, a good position, and then they use that position. And I think what helps is that the manufacturers have evolved how Class 2 is presented. Because it used to be very different, right? So you used to have like double dob, and like you'd have to hit the button twice. So Class 2 was weird, right? Weird when it started, because it was like, well, you're hitting regular slot machine, hit the button, it spins, it gives you money, or it doesn't. The old one was like, all right, you dob, like a bingo term, and then you have to dob again, right? So originally you had to hit it twice, and I don't know why they did it, but that was just the way the system was designed. So I got to double hit this. That's why you see people just smashing these things now, because they're used to the old school. And so it wasn't very good. And then it looked weird. Then the bingo card, like, super prominent on the screen, so that was kind of awkward. So over time, it became like, well, now you don't even have to see the bingo card. You hit it once. It almost plays like, if you didn't know it was Class 2, you might not know it was Class 2, right? Versus before, it was very clear that it was Class 2. So that evolution in technology, they're using that position has been good. And I mean, I don't live there, but it seems like the state of Oklahoma is doing quite well with gaming, and the tribes are doing, they're doing just fine.
So if you're like a regular slot player going into any casino,
Yeah.
are you going to be like, oh, that's a class 2, that's a class 2? Do people do that, or is that just a back end, like B2B terminology? Like, do players even
I
know
feel like Oklahoma's
the difference?
done it relevant enough. They always noticed the bingo card. So it wasn't until like 3 years ago Aristocrat and others started to remove the bingo card.
Okay.
Where you knew as a player, if there's a bingo card on this machine, it's a Class 2 game.
Okay.
And so I just felt like Oklahoma did a really good job as having a whole low hold rate, like this 2% that we're talking about, in comparison to 8 to 10% in other games, where the player felt that time on device. So if you're holding that percentage, my $100 is going to last that much longer, me pushing the button 6 to 7 times a minute, than it is on that 8 to 10% hold machine. So when you feel that, you just associate low hold, more winning, Class 2 bingo card. So mostly Oklahoma, they're programmed to look for the bingo card. It actually hurt operators when they were hiding it, because people in Oklahoma were like, "Is this a class 2? I don't know. You're
Yeah,
confusing
I
me."
want it to be.
Yeah, I want it to be.
So that's interesting because I wouldn't have known that answer because I grew up here in mostly the West. So you don't have as much class 2. So you're just going, I don't really care. Like you'd go to these mixed floors in California, just play whatever game you want to play. Like I don't know that I really noticed a massive like, oh, wow, I only win on these class 2 games versus not. Oklahoma's the exception because I love the VGT Bell, red screen games.
And no one else had that discrepancy on their floor. No one had 2% with 8% games anywhere.
Yeah.
VGT, they hired salesmen. They said, this is a product we're going to take to every state. Salesmen started going to New Mexico and others, and the operator said, your hold's what?
Yeah,
Can you upgrade it? Do you have a par sheet that upgrades more? No, 2.5's our top. We don't want that game. Get that out of here.
Yeah. It is very strange because it is one of those things that
Never
is
worked
like
anywhere else.
the king of the swing in Oklahoma, and then you try to put it in other places. Not that it doesn't work, but it's not anywhere near the same. And it's like, why is that? It's just part of the culture, I guess now.
I think they just did a really good job at launching the product, keeping that hold. Over time, games actually started out at 6% Class 3, and it's grown all the way to 10 to 12. Because think about it. I'm a new operator of a casino. How am I going to make this shiny new penny look good as the new operator? Guys, let's just uptick 2% on the hold for the whole floor.
Yeah.
I just made you guys 2% of $200 million this year, Tribe.
Yeah.
And all I did was upgrade all the machines, but the player ends up feeling that.
Well,
that's why I bring up the argument of online. If there is a discrepancy like that, and that is true, online's going to cannibalize that player.
Yeah, could be. I mean, I think that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Interesting times right now. There's a book I refer to, Spencer Johnson, Who Moved My Cheese.
Okay.
And it was a big book about the 90s and, Blockbuster to Netflix, Kodak to digital photography and how Kodak took a hit. And it is like there's like 4 characters in there, and you see Light and Wonder and the main manufacturers slowly diversifying their portfolio to invest more in it. But I'm sure there's some of those brick and mortars that are like, it's never coming. We're going to be fine, guys. Let's get through this. And then overnight, boom. So...
Yeah, I don't know if brick and mortar goes away. I think it changes, right? I think that's the thing. And does it skew more digital? Do I suddenly gamble more, right? Because like I was, we were at the Palms last night. I was having a good time. I was gambled a little bit, and it was just like, that's fun. Like you can't replace that feeling at home. But there's definitely times where I'm going to be at home and going, I don't want to drive all the way there. I don't want to put a fancy shirt on or whatever and go there. I'll just sit here at the house, right? So or I got hang out with my kids. Maybe I'll throw some game on, right? But so I think they'll probably coexist more and more as we...
Well, and I think you look at Las Vegas, and it's the most mature market, and before the majority of revenue used to be gaming revenue.
Yeah.
Now it's amenities. Now it's nightclubs. Now it's
fun
bars.
Economy, as Poe calls it. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so who would you recommend to come on the show next?
Probably Roland. But, he originally sold the Class 2 patent for $1 because he had a bad partner, too. He went through a bad partnership. Ended up just giving it to him for $1. So this guy, like he said, he would be amazing to have. He has a plethora of knowledge. Anybody at Gaming Capital Group will tell you he's the wizard. We love Roland. He teaches us everything. Mm-hmm. Getting him to be on a show like this would be great for the industry.
Well, there you go, buddy. That's we'll see just how much he really likes you for the men. It's like, look, I taught you all I know. I set you up. I'm not doing it. Yeah. I appreciate you coming by, man.
Dude,
you're a high energy guy, which is great. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Great. Yeah.
Cheers.
Great.
Woo.
Is that how long was the episode?
Okay.
Exactly.
It's going to fall.
It's fine. It's going to fall?
It
looks weird. It looks very strange.
It looks very
This was totally set up. Why is it like this today? All right. Feels good. We're better. Are you crying? You're in tears? You're like, is it that funny? The microphone adjustments? Like, well, this is going to make the random fodder of the episode for sure. You want to bring us in?
No, give me a second.
Next,
all right, cool.
School is over. Let's go to recess.
Can you tell me about some unnecessary slot game features? And these are things that don't exist.
Don't exist, but you
but
think
if they
like
did, they would be
definitely-
so unnecessary.
Yeah. Like random re-triggers with no payouts would be crazy. So it's like, or like what we like slow motion instant replay, where like you win and you get like symbol, and you win, let's say whatever, 10 times your bet, and they go, let's show it again. And it's like you don't actually win anymore, but you just go symbol. So you're like, well, I already knew it was that. Like the excitement's gone. I made no more money. All you're doing is wasting time. So I think that'd be one. What comes to your mind?
The super slow motion with every spin.
It
would just, but it's for every spin. You win the same.
So there's no, it's just every spin all of a sudden just goes, ooh. like locks into place. Yeah, that would be the worst.
They're like, how can we get people to sit here longer?
With no financial benefit. Just sit there longer.
They're like, if you want to make your money last longer.
You want sciatica.
Yeah.
Play this game. That's what we want you to do. Just,
Or spins that don't stop until you blink.
do you blink like you're like I Dream of Jeannie? Like you gotta like blink the reels closed. Like
What about like unnecessary voiceovers for just like random
like some
you got a cherry. Good job.
Yeah, it's like cherry. You're like what? Like there's just one. It doesn't do me any good. But here we are. It's funny. Oh, so now I remember what I was gonna say. So there's like what's fun is in real games, like good games, you'll get these pre-win animations, right? So like I was playing a game last night. I knew I was going to win before it happened because the screen starts shaking, the wolf comes and does a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, sweet, win a bunch of money. There are games now that I feel like are trying to do that, but they do it for every spin. So it's like $1 bet or $2 bet. And it's like, oh, I won 40 cents, but you sent this character out as if I was going to win a whole car or something.
Right.
That's unnecessary to me.
Yeah, the balloons are falling on the screen, and yet
that's half real, half not real, because only some people are doing it. But if you're doing that, stop doing it. That is the worst.
False hope.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll accept this crazy animation when it tells me something good. Anything that would require interaction with your neighbor. So like you can win, but you have to high five this person. You have to do like the old shuck and jive from Greece with find someone to
you have
play
to do
hopscotch
the parent trap handshake.
Exactly. Okay. You do the kid and play dance in the aisle, then you win the bonus. It's like we're not doing that.
Yeah, too bad if there's no one next to you. You still need to recreate no matter what.
Do one half of it. Yeah, it's like, we got to do both halves.
There's like a Dance Dance Revolution pad underneath the slot machine.
Could you imagine? For multiple different reasons, I don't think that's a good demographic fit for these just mad. I would love to see it though. Like I picture like a Betty White character playing, she's winning, and then she just gets up and aces this man. It's like I got DDR, no problem. We're gonna dance this thing all night.
It's on the back end, so you just hold onto the slot chair.
It would have to like be like a AI, like a digitally projected DDR.
Oh yeah, actually, this is a great idea. We should patent this.
You're saying this is necessary.
I think.
You're saying
I think there
went
is
from
money
unnecessary
to be made.
to let's do this now. Let's call the product.
I was thinking it would just be under where your feet already are.
Yeah.
So you would just be walking through the casino and you would see people and their feet are like just violently.
Just hammering, like, what is going on? Is there a tap dance concert? No, it's just Hillary's trying to hit the bonus. Well, this is why we're not in product. We are the people to just vet these crazy ideas.
We're going to get out all the bad ideas first so that they can just keep going and get the.
So I'm sure all the product folks listening to this are going, I was thinking about that. Now I can stop thinking about that. The MaxBet team is eliminated.
Now that you said it out loud and you took the embarrassment, it's no good.
You're right. Slow motion is weird. All right, we're going to keep that going. Thing that is relevant and not weird at all, waxing for awareness. It's been a while since we talked about it. I want to keep it top of mind.
Wow, yeah.
September is a long way away, and yet it'll be here before you know it. We will be raising money for St. Patrick's. We're doing it. I don't expect you to shave your head. We're going to get involved.
I appreciate that.
So we'll stay tuned for more. So if you're out there as you guys are thinking about how do I help, you can shave your head. We're now trying to introduce the chest wax this year, which we're going to do. Raise money for the kids. We're charitable. I mean, you did that.
I won't be participating, but I will be standing in solidarity for you. I'll donate.
You might be an honorary if you want. Yeah. You could be for somebody if they want. Maybe they can bid on this. If somebody raises extra money, you'll be the one that shaves their head.
Sure.
That's a thing, right? So like in the past, like David.
I don't think anyone's going to want that, but that's fine.
Yeah,
I will offer up my services.
There,
for that.
yeah. And I guess it was.
Like,
I guess last time it was
that?
the opposite because like when David did it, he is Lopez CEO of AGS. He paid extra to shave Adam Whitehurst's head because Adam's a good-looking guy, had a head of hair. And so he's like, I'm doing it. If somebody's taking that off, it's me. And he donated extra, so that was good. I guess that's the inverse of what I was proposing. So, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, good to be involved and just help out. And so we're going to talk about it every time. But just want to keep it top of mind and get there late summer. So
how would they get involved in that?
Easiest way, we can post a link. So you'll start seeing the guys that are shaving, start posting links. You can always go direct to St. Baldrick's charity or follow us. We'll start posting some information here as the season goes on. But yeah, it's usually just click a link, find an amount of money that's comfortable for you to give if you're giving, and knock it out. All right. Big. Or if you're a company and you want to go big, we can do that. Text me, text Dan Inkster, we'll sort that out. So all right, so I mean that's a good interview. Always love the guests. That was a you find. I was glad that came.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. And so I always love to see who's coming out. I feel like even though you host, you're like never sure who's going to materialize to interview. And so I would say this: if you think you have a fun story, hit us up, send us a note, send me a note, Hillary notes, on the podcast page, on LinkedIn, wherever we're on that pretty actively. Love to work something out. So we're always looking for cool guests, cool stories, sponsors. If you're out there, you think we can help your company, that's exciting. So let's do it. Let's have some fun together. Let's get weird together. That's my thought.
I love that. I love that last line.
Cool.
It feels relevant.
It
Okay.
is relevant. This is very weird for everyone. So,
Okay.
all right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Cheers.